Just stop your crying, it's a sign of the time. Welcome to the final show. I hope you're wearing your best clothes. Camp out the door on your way to the sky. You look pretty good down here, but you ain't really good.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Active Church. We exist to be active in our faith and our love for others. Our Sunday gatherings are filled with fun, creativity, and life-giving moments. If this is your first time here, grab a first-time guest card in your seat back and take it to the lobby to receive a free gift. Free coffee is available in Guest Central as well. You'll be with us for about an hour, and we want to invite you to join us as we sing, laugh, and engage in this service. At any point, you can feel free to take pictures and share them on social media. In fact, we'd love for you to take out your cell phone and follow us on Facebook, IG, and Twitter at Active Churches. If you have little ones, check out Active Kids just across the way in our family building for a fun, safe environment for your kids to learn and grow. There's even a cry room for parents with newborns to enjoy the service on our live stream. Thanks again for joining us. We'll begin in just a few moments.
everybody. We're about to have some fun today. We're gonna have so much fun. If you guys walked in, you saw, we're having a big tailgate party today. Are there any Eagle fans in the room? Oh, any Patriot fans? Woo! All right. Well, hey, we are so stoked that you are here with us on Super Soul Sunday. We're gonna be having some baptisms. We have some free wings for everybody today, so as soon as service is over, head through those doors and you can have some free wings on us just to celebrate all the awesome things we're gonna be doing today. Like I said, we're gonna be having baptisms. That's just our way of celebrating life change. You're gonna hear more about that in our service today. If it's your first time here, welcome. We're so stoked that you're here. It's an awesome day to be here. In the back of your seat says a card. We would love if you filled that out with as much information as you feel comfortable giving us. And through those back doors, there's a box. You can meet us there. You can meet me there. I would love to get to know you. Our team would love to get to know you. And we have a free Active Church merch item for you today. How cool is that, right? Well, hey, let's do this right now. I want you to turn around to the people to the left, to the right, to the front of you, and I want you to greet each other with a handshake, hug, and a high five, and welcome to Active Church.
All right, everyone, we're going to continue to sing out and worship together. Sing it out together.
Have you ever seen the wonder in the glimmer of first sight? Eyes begin to open, and the blindness meets the light.
Come on, lift it up.
How some say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in light, burst in the living color, I see the world your way. And I'm walking.
Come on, let's declare this together. Have you ever
Seen the wonder in the air of second life.
Come on, louder.
And we come out of the water with the old we left behind. Perhaps so say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in light, burst in the living color, I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light.
World in grace.
I see the world in grace, I see the world in gospel, I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. You're the wonder in the world. Turning wilderness to wonder. Perhaps so say, I see the world in love, I see the world in freedom, I see the Jesus way. You're the wonder in the world.
Come on, let's put our hands up. There it is. We're going to celebrate this morning. You guys ready? Here we go. Let's sing.
I see the world your way, and I'm not afraid to follow. I see the world your way, and I'm not ashamed to say so. I see the Jesus way. I see the world in light. I see the world in wonder. I see the world in light. Burst in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. Come on, we sing it, grace. I see the world in grace. I see the world in gospel. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I'm walking in the world, in the wonder, in the wild, to the wilderness to wonder. Yeah, I'm so sick. I see the world in love. I see the world in freedom. I see the Jesus way. You're the wonder in the wild. You're the wonder in the wild. Yeah.
Well, come on, let's keep on worshiping and singing out to his name. Lost in vain. Come on, sing it out.
Wash our feet. Now at his feet we bow. You bore our sin and shame. Now robed in majesty, the radiance of perfect love now shines for all to see.
Come on, let's sing this out together. Sing your name.
Your name is victory, and all praise will rise to Christ our King. And your name is victory, and all praise will rise to Christ our King. We lift you, Jesus. Oh, fear that held us now gives way to Him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in Your name is victory, and all praise will rise to Christ our King. Come on, sing it out. Your name is victory, Jesus. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Oh, giving you our praise.
Sing by your spirit. By your spirit I will rise to the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me in your name. Come on, sing. Let's declare this with all we've got.
And by your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me in your spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King always resurrecting me.
Hello, my name is Cameron Newton. Today I chose to be baptized. I lost my sister to suicide in the beginning of the year. I started to lose myself, and this is actually the day before my 25th birthday. So I decided this is a new chapter, and it's time to let Jesus into my life. If you're considering to get baptized, I would say let Jesus in. This world is a little bit too corrupt, and you're going to need him in this world.
We're soldiers, watch sleeping. You sing it. Come on, let's lift it. God has robbed the grave. You robbed the grave. Come on, we're gonna sing out his name. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Lift him up. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ the King. By your Spirit, I will rise from the ashes. Come on, sing now. Always resurrecting me. To declare your resurrected King is resurrecting me by your Spirit. Come on, you take it. From the ashes, resurrected. Let's declare this louder, church. The resurrected King always resurrecting me. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. Oh, you will raise us to new life, Jesus. Oh, yeah. Come on, let's give him praise this morning. Lift him up. Go ahead and grab a seat and check out the screen, church.
Hey, what's up, Active Church? My name is Shauna.
And I'm Casey. We want to thank you for joining us today in service and online as well.
We are so excited to see you today, and we've got a free gift for you if this is your first time here.
Yes, please grab that first time guest card, fill it out, and take it to the Guest Central kiosk located in the lobby, and we will hook you up with some active merch.
Also located in your seat back is our Tithe Challenge cards and our baptism cards.
Baptism Sunday is today. It is Super Soul Sunday for us. Are you ready, Shauna?
I'm ready.
Yes.
I love Super Soul Sunday.
It's going to be awesome. We have baptisms going on during service. So if you want to be baptized, all you have to do is come backstage and we got everything for you. We are so excited for everybody that's going to be baptized today.
We've got some more opportunities to share with you right now, so check it out. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and we've got pregame festivities going on outside in the courtyard to celebrate what we are calling Super Soul Sunday.
Yes, nothing says Super Bowl like, say it with me, Shauna, wings! Woo! We have all sorts of wings, snacks, and drinks available to kick off the big game today.
Next Sunday, February 11th, will be our first step experience. You don't want to miss this chance to meet our active staff one-on-one and hear in depth about the heartbeat of our church.
Yes, and you'll hear directly from Pastor Mike himself. We will be together for about an hour, and we will be providing free lunch and childcare. And I'll repeat that again, free lunch and childcare. So make sure you join us February 11th after the 10:45 service for First Step.
Last but not least, we are starting a new series on February 18th called Active Church is Worldly.
Here's one of our pastors to tell you more about it.
What's up, Active Church? Pastor James here. We are so excited about our new series called Active Church is Worldly. And we're going to be looking into scriptures and ideas around John 3:16, around the idea of reclaiming this word worldly and what it means to us in our church context today. You know, that verse is so well known. It's been plastered across athletes' faces, across t-shirts, and we want to really extract a message from that verse. When it says God so loved the world, when it says that he came not to point an accusing finger, but to redeem the world, make things right again. We also want to look at this idea of living in the world, but not of the world. And how do we ride that tension? What does that look like? Because we believe that if you're for your friends, you're friendly. And since God, and by extension the church, is for the world, we can be worldly. So we want to jump into that and see what that means. So join us for our new series on February 18th, Active Church is Worldly.
That's all for the announcements today. And right now we're going to enter into a time we call communion.
Our leaders are coming forward, and you will receive a communion stack of a cracker and a cup of juice. If this is your first time in a setting like this, please don't feel pressured to take communion this morning.
For the rest of you, remember that we take communion to recognize Jesus' sacrifice and his love for us.
Feel free to participate by taking communion as soon as you receive the bread and juice.
When you're finished, you can find a cup holder near the bottom of the seat in front of you to place your empty cup.
Thanks for being with us today. Our service will continue in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Mike. Right now in the room, they're practicing what we call communion. It's a great unifying moment, and it's a way that we honor Jesus. And while they're doing that, we just wanted to tell you what happens throughout the week here at Active Church. Tuesday night is Active Youth, ages 6th grade to 12th grade. And it's an incredible night of small groups, big time worship, big time message, and a great way to join a community. If you're interested, we'd love for you to come and hang out with us. Small groups start at 6 p.m. and they run till 7 p.m. And then our big group time starts at 7 p.m. We'd love for you to come and hang out with us. Again, 6th grade to 12th grade. Also throughout the week and all over the Yucaipa area and surrounding cities, we have connection groups. These are groups from 8 to 12 people. They gather together, they discuss things, talk about things, engage with God and with others. They eat together. It's a great way to find your fam, your crew, your community. And we would love for you to jump into a connection group here at Active Church.
One of my roles here at Active Church is I get to work with the students from middle school to high school, and it is a lot of fun. It really is. Well, this past January, we were able to revamp the way that we do connection groups. In our student ministries, we believe that every student is one adult away from being a success story. And so we said, hey, let's make that possible. Let's connect every single student to a Jesus-believing adult who's gonna believe in them, who's gonna be there for them, who's gonna connect with them, who's gonna know them intimately and know them personally. And the way that we've done it is we put them in smaller groups, more intentional groups, and groups that are gender specific. And let me tell you, it's been fun. We've seen a lot of awesome things happen. When we first had signups though, it didn't feel the greatest. We had a massive amount of high schoolers who signed up, a massive amount of middle school girls who signed up. Junior high boys though, 0 signups. And so jumping into our connection group season, the launch of it, beginning of January, I remember sitting there at the booth like, I cannot believe we had 0 middle schoolers sign up. Like 0. 6 o'clock comes, we're about to start connection groups, and one middle school boy slowly starts walking up. Then I see another one, and then another one, then another one. About 15 middle school boys showed up the day that connection group started, all with the same question. Hey, can we sign up today? That's middle schoolers for you. These groups are intended for them to connect to each other, connect to an adult who loves them, and ultimately connect them to Jesus. And your generosity, Active Church, allows for this to happen. So on behalf of our student ministries team, thank you for building the space, for creating the space for a middle school student, a middle school boy, to know that he's cared about by his friends, he's cared about by another adult, and he's cared about by a God who loves us. Right now, we're gonna go into a moment we like to call generosity moment. Our ushers are gonna come forward and they're gonna be passing buckets. You can give in 3 ways today. First is in person, in this room today, as the buckets pass. The second is in our lobby. There's gonna be a kiosk there. You can fill it out and you can give that way. And also, if you're watching online, feel free to go to activechurches.com, and there's a giving button there that you can give today. But hey, Active Church, I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for pouring into the lives of students.
Hi, my name's Mike. Thank you so much for engaging with us online here at Active Church. Right now in the room, we're passing some buckets, we're going online, and we're giving back. We're practicing generosity. We believe in the mission and vision of Active Church so much that we give whatever we can, our time, our talent, and our treasure to help this mission be accomplished within a 30-mile radius of our church. And you can engage that way too. You can practice generosity too by going to activechurches.com/give. We want to invite you to give. We want to invite you to engage. And we also want to invite you to come and hang with us in the room. I know being online is convenient and being online is a great way to begin your relationship with Active Church, but we would love to meet you and we would love to know you. But we'd also love for you to experience what it's like to be in the room here at Active Church. The music is great, the people are great, our teams are great, and you would make it even better by showing up to a service. Maybe perhaps coming to our 1045 service just in a few minutes. We'd love for you to come and hang out with us here at Active Church. And once again, thank you so much for engaging with us online. You matter to us, and we're so thankful for you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Super Soul Bowl. I'm your host, Joe Valenzuela, and I am standing poolside with my co-host, Casey J. Dickerson. Whoa, where am I? Casey has been on antibiotics as of late due to the flu, but Casey Jones, can you tell us what we're doing here today?
Yeah. We're in Ukaipa. We're in a beautiful backyard.
Beautiful.
I mean, look at this tree back here. It's just to die for. I would eat some leaves off that tree.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
And we're here for Super Soul Bowl.
Super Soul Bowl. Let's check out our contenders poolside right now. When we go poolside, we have 6 of our high-intensity, high-caliber athletes. They've been training all year long for this.
Don't even have jobs throughout the week. They just practice for Super Soul Bowl.
And when you check out these athletes today, they are limber, they are lucky, they are high caliber and high quality.
I mentioned lumpy, Jeff.
Joe.
Man.
Will you see the intensity in their eyes, the glare? Check that out, Casey Jones. It's unmatchable.
I'd have to agree with you, Jalapeno. It is amazing. You can cut this intensity with a dental floss. It's so powerful. All right, everyone, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. Our first athlete for Super Soul Bowl, Shananana French.
Wow, look at the form on her in these moments. Little known fact, she's not from France.
Oh man, look at that form.
Outrageous!
He looks like a tiny frog.
What is this, Siri? Is that a tsunami warning that's coming? I'm gonna give that a 13 out of 12.
I wouldn't even give him $13.
Local hometown hero, Michael the Mayor Frisch, stepping up to the plate.
Fun fact about Mike is never lived outside of Ikaika. Not even one day of his life. He's trained here his whole life.
Wow, would you look at that back flop? That has to be painful.
Man. Now, our third athlete of this event, we have a newcomer, a substitute rookie named Des the Hammer Ramirez.
Wow, look at this form transferring from the WWE recently, and with the ninja kick and the splash!
She doesn't even have a ball in her hand. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, fan favorite and future Hall of Famer,
James!
Sean, you have to be impartial. This does not look like a good catch.
This replay is brought to you by Connection Groups.
Connection Groups. Life is better together.
Whoa, would you look at that? Let's run that back on the follow cam. Whoa! Not a catch.
Good possession. I got good possession. I don't know.
Not a catch.
James the Man Christensen. Fun fact about Canada, they have no pools because they all are just frozen.
He's up, and it is a catch!
Oh my goodness.
Did you know
I
that
did not-
Canadians do not play football? And we are in overtime, people. There's been 4 hours of game time going on, and there's mass anarchy going on the field in these moments today. Rags to riches hero, Josh Estrada, born with a potato as a heart, takes down James Rinsing. Little known fact.
Whoa! The Hammer!
She has broken loose of all chains. What's going on here on Super Soul Sunday?
Josh's potato heart cannot take any more of this. Oh my! Oh my! What is going on? Not the double hammer!
Not the double
Not
hammer!
the double hammer! How did she do this?
It's the double hammer! Oh!
I think they're dead.
Oh, wow, what a Super Soul Bowl that has been this year. Would you not agree, Casey Jones?
What is your name? Who are you?
It's Joe. We cannot wait to see you at our next Super Soul Bowl happening next year, next month. See you soon.
Oh my goodness. Good morning, Active Church. How you feeling this morning? It is great to be with you. You sounded marvelous during our worship song, and those online, we heard you too. So, hey, my name is Mike. I'm one of the pastors here, and we're in the middle of a series called Grit. And we've been building to this moment today, and last week was a really significant week. We talked about specifically to a group of people that we like to say are coupling. And that group of people that maybe they're living together, maybe they're sharing a room, maybe they're sharing a family, maybe they're sharing whatever. We talked to them last week about what it means to live as a gritty couple. And what was great is we extended an invitation to those couples to choose to get married, that we were going to throw them a wedding ceremony, that we are going to just decorate this place. We're going to connect them with great couples and prepare them for the day and for the day after. And last week we had 7 couples sign up to get married next week here at Active Church. Yeah. Not only that, we had 18 couples choose to renew their vows next week. So next week is going to be awesome. I want to invite you to be here. It'll be a historic day. You will be able to say that I was there when this happened at Active Church. And so we're thrilled. As mentioned, we're in this series called Grit. It's passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. And last week, as we shrunk the circle and talked to those who were coupling, today we're going to shrink the circle and talk to those who don't know what to do. Maybe you're just kind of stuck. And there's 2 levels to that, aren't there? There's the heavy, difficult, maybe painful moments where you don't know what to do. And then there are those silly, ridiculous, kind of fun moments where you don't know what to do. And we're going to talk about both, but let's start with the fun for a moment, okay? How many of you have ever pulled out a piece of gum and immediately everybody comes over and asks for a piece of gum? Anybody in the room? Yeah? If you're a mom, your hand should be up, right? And then you realize that there are 4 people and you have 3 pieces. What do you do in that moment? Like, we haven't solved the world's problems because we haven't solved the gum problem yet, right? In that moment, you're like, I don't want to give you a piece because it's my gum, I paid for it, but I don't want to sound selfish, but I really am selfish because my breath stinks and your breath stinks, so I think I'll give you a piece, and maybe we'll split it. Never mind, right? What do you do when you don't know what to do? Or how about when you've driven on the freeway and you exited the freeway and maybe you were in a bit of a hurry and maybe you made a move that caused some anxiety in another car and you know that you caused anxiety in that other car and so you give them the courtesy wave, right? You're just like, oh, sorry, you know? And you're hoping that that was sufficient and you realize that based on how they're driving and what you're seeing in your rearview mirror that it wasn't a sufficient apology for them. And so you're hoping that you never see this person again, so you make a right turn, maybe a left turn, maybe you exit, and you get to the stoplight, and then you look over and this is all you see. It could be an 89-year-old grandma, but they would all look like this, right? What do you do in that moment? Don't look, just look forward, just look forward, just look forward. Some of you are like, I just wave. I just, I'm already lost and they're already mad. What do you do when you don't know what to do? Or how about a moment where you've noticed that somebody's zipper is down? Can we talk about that in church for a moment? Can we talk about that? When somebody's zipper is down, like you don't want them to be embarrassed, right? And so you think, well, I'm going to tell them that their zipper's down, but then you immediately think, well, then they're going to know that I was looking, and I'm not trying to be inappropriate. I just want to help them out because I don't want them to be embarrassed, but if I tell them, then I'll be embarrassed, then I don't want to be embarrassed, but I don't want them to be embarrassed, so I'm not going to tell them, but if I don't tell them, they'll be embarrassed, right? You're in that moment. What do I do? I'm just going to walk away. I'm just going to walk away. I can't say a thing. Or how about those moments where you're taking a picture with family and maybe multiple people are taking their photo and you're just not sure where to look and it ends up looking somewhat like this, right? One of you is looking at the camera and the other one's looking off. And you're just, where do I smile? I don't know where to, should I smile at all? You, and then wait, let's get organized here, people. What do you do when you don't know what to do in those moments? And those are fun moments, right? They're ridiculous moments. We can laugh at those moments. But what do you do when you don't know what to do in moments that are heavy and difficult and painful? Maybe for you, it's financially. You got the second job. You're hoping that would help your bank account increase a little bit, right? You're hoping that it would help pay the bills. What you're realizing is it's not helping at all. Or maybe for you, it's emotionally. You just don't feel like you can breathe because the water has risen really high. And you just feel like you're about ready to snap. Maybe for you, it's relationally. You're feeling the brokenness. You're feeling like it's ending. You're not sure what choice to make. Or maybe for you, it's mentally. You can't think about anything else. And you want to get rid of this thought, but you don't know how to get rid of that thought. Or maybe spiritually. Spiritually for you, it's just not sure about this anymore. You're not sure about God anymore. You're not sure about the church anymore. And you're feeling the heaviness of that. What do you do when you don't know what to do? What do you do when all your options seem to be bad? Because the options are to run. We're just going to run away. Let's just escape. The second option might be to abandon. I'm just going to leave it alone. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm just going to ignore it. Or maybe the third option for you is to give up. I'm just going to wash my hands of it. And you and I both know that if we choose those options, it doesn't make the problem go away. We just pretend that the problem has gone away, when in fact the problem just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you find that it's affected you not just today, but in 5 years, and in 10 years, and in 20 years. And what do you do when you don't know what to do? And you begin to process, like, well, here's why I'm making those choices, because I'll never be happy again. And so I just don't know what to do in this moment. I'm just never going to be happy again. Nothing good can come from this situation. I'm convinced of that. Or maybe for you, there's just no point in continuing. And so I'm just going to call it a day. I'm going to give up. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to run. I'm going to abandon. What do you do when you don't know what to do? And then for those of you that engage with God, you engage with church, maybe you've been a long-time follower of Jesus, or maybe this is brand new to you. We interpret adversity to mean that God is absent, or God is angry, or God is apathetic about our lives. And here's the hard part. We're in a series called Grit, right? It's grit, where we have passion. It's our convictions that move us forward. And it's our perseverance, how we're going to rise to the occasion. We're gritty, just drivers and hustlers, right? And we want to be excited about that. And we're like, yeah, we're pursuing God and we're chasing after love. And we want to be a place where people come and meet Jesus. But there's some part of us that goes, man, but this is an area where it's real difficult to be gritty. I don't know if I want to talk about it out loud. I don't know if I want to admit it. I don't even know if I want to be aware of it. What do you do when you don't know what to do? What do you do when all the options are bad? I don't know. Let's pray. Jesus. No, I'm kidding. Isn't that how we feel sometimes, though? Like, I don't know, so let's just move on. Let's just pray about it. Let's just, talk to a counselor. What do you do when you don't know what to do? I want to show you 3 pictures. And these 3 pictures are going to seem a bit odd, a bit random, but there is a purpose. Because what we just talked about is heavy. What we just talked about is hard. What we're just started to process a little bit may be difficult for you to process. You might have felt a little bit uncomfortable in your chair. And so just to pause for a moment, I want to show you 3 photos. It might be random and might be odd, and there is a purpose, okay? First photo is this one. These are the 2 starting quarterbacks of the Super Bowl today. You might know this fella over here. His name is Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the quarterback of the New England Patriots. He's 40 years old. He just won the MVP, the Most Valuable Player award. And he's 40. He's the oldest to win it. Tom Brady has won 5 Super Bowls. He's in his 8th today. It could be his 6th Super Bowl. And that is an incredible, incredible feat. Tom has 27 playoff wins, most all time. This guy here is Nick Foles. Nick is the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick was a backup quarterback when the season started. The starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles got hurt, and so Nick took over. Nick has 22 wins total. 27 wins in the playoffs versus 22 wins total. These are the 2 teams, more specifically, these are the 2 quarterbacks that are facing each other today. If you watch the Super Bowl, now you can share some great information with your friends. Oh, I know that guy. His name is Nick something or other. And that's Tom Brady. There's a story how he had 3 sons, and he married a wife who had 3 girls. Some of you are with me on that, okay? The person you just heard laugh is this picture when they were a baby. I love chunky babies. Can I just say that? I just love chunky babies. I love snuggling them. I love bringing them in. When my son was a baby, he was a chunk, and it was awesome. And there's only one reason why I put this photo up. It's because I love chunky babies, and I thought it would help us laugh a little bit. But I do have a third photo, and it's this one. This was from Easter last year here at Active Church. The 2 men in the water there is Tony Harmon and Jeremiah French. They're great activators here at Active Church. And the young man in the water there, his name is Breck. If you're not familiar with Breck's story, he was in a motorcycle accident. And it could have taken his life. But it didn't. Last year at this time, he was just getting out of the ICU, recovering. And Easter, he's in the water. This morning, he's just sitting a few rows back from the front, and in just a few minutes, when we call for baptisms, he's going to be at the door helping us love and serve those who are getting baptized. Because God is a good God. So now you might be thinking, that seemed a little bit odd, a little bit random, but there was a purpose. The first photo with two of those quarterbacks that we talked about this morning just was a reminder that you have the capacity to think about something else rather than just the thing that you don't know what to do in. That you have the ability to focus, at least for a moment, on another situation and not the one that you're caught up in where you're just lost and you're confused and you're stuck. The second photo of the chunky baby was to just remind you that there is still laughter in your soul and that there is still joy in your heart. And then this photo is just to remind you that you're going to make it. That you're going to make it. It may not be today, but you're going to make it. And you don't have to give up. You don't have to run. And you don't have to abandon. Psychologists call this working to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And it all determines and all depends on what you focus on. And they encourage us to focus on three things. We focus on the end, we focus on the values, and we focus on character. The end being that this is just for now, not forever. The values being, what sort of decisions do I want to make in this moment? What are the things that are going to guide me forward? And then character is, who do I want to become? And that these circumstances will not get into my heart and into my soul because I'm making a decision about who it is that I want to choose to be. Ultimately, what they're pointing us to is this word called contentment. Contentment is, I'm at peace on the inside when the world is chaotic and in chaos around me. That I'm able to still breathe even though the air is thin around me. That I'm able to still make decisions and choices that are filled with wisdom, even though on the outside it would seem that it would be easier for me to give up. And what's interesting about contentment is it wasn't something that was just created recently. We find contentment everywhere. In fact, we find it prominently in the pages of the Bible. And what was interesting about the authors of each of the letters of the Bible, the Old and even in the New Testament, is how they interpreted their relationship with God and the circumstances that were happening around them. Because for most of us, we would say that life plus our struggles equals God is against me. But the writers of the Bible interpreted it differently. They had an equation that said life plus our struggles means that God is with me. And there were two specific reminders that stood out to me this week as I thought through this message. The first was one that was written by someone who was just a magnificent follower of Jesus in the letter called Hebrews. And he's quoting the words of Jesus where Jesus said, I will never leave you. The verse continues and says, I will not turn my back on you. I will not forsake you. The second was written by a guy named Paul in 2 Corinthians, and he said that Jesus communicated to him that I am enough. If you've been a part of the church for a while, maybe you would read it more that my grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in your weakness. See, the writers of the Bible saw this when circumstances were difficult. The writers of the Bible went in this direction rather than in the direction of giving up. And they went through painful, you can go back to that slide, they went through painful, humiliating, debilitating, and permanent situations. So they're not writing from a beach in Hawaii telling you, hey, you're going to make it. They're writing from situations that were difficult, that were overwhelming. Each one had their life threatened for their faith. Each one, because of the way that they loved, were encouraged to stop and recant of their faith. They were tortured. They were ridiculed. They were mocked. And yet all of these things did not direct them in a different path. All of these things helped them to move forward. In fact, they saw these things and they saw God not as a contradiction. They saw these things and they saw God not as a conflict. In fact, they saw their circumstances and they saw God as confidence that God is with me and for me and not against me, and that he shows up more in those moments than in any other moment. I feel him more in those moments than in any other moment. And some people would say, man, that's just silly and it's ridiculous. Maybe so. But they engaged with the resurrected Jesus, and this is what he said to them, and this is how he lived with them, and this is how they lived together. Their pain didn't stop them. Their humiliating decisions and choices and circumstances and whatever didn't slow them down. They felt debilitated. They felt like they were in permanent situations, and yet it didn't stop them from leaning in to the God who loves us. One of those writers, and we've talked about him often during this Grit series, his name is Paul. And Paul shows up, not as Paul in the Bible, but shows up as a man named Saul, who's a good Jewish man who is upset that people are saying that God came and put flesh on and died and rose again. Because that's not what the Jewish people believed. And so Paul's job was to go and arrest these people and even take their life. And his life was changed on a road to a city called Damascus when Jesus showed up and met him eyeball to eyeball, and everything changed, including his name. He became Paul. 10 years later, after that life-changing moment, Paul finds himself arrested and in prison. And there's nothing he can do. And in prisons during that time versus prisons during our time, they were much, much different. There was no television, no Netflix, no weight room, no 3 square meals a day. They would feed you if they felt like it. They would talk to you if they wanted to, only to order you to do something. Most of the time you would be left alone in a damp, dreary, muddy pit. And Paul was a man who didn't know what to do. What do you do in that situation? How do I move forward in this situation? What choices do I have? I could run. Well, no, I can't because I'm in prison. I could abandon this place. Well, I really want to, but I'm stuck. I could give up. I could just lay here and feel sorry for myself and be upset with God. But Paul makes a decision that changed the world. Paul decided, you know the one thing I could do? I could write. I could write down some words, maybe pass them along to people who come and visit me, and hopefully those words will get to other people. Paul had no idea what hung in the balance of his decision to write some words down. Because the words that he wrote down from prisons like this are now found in our Bible, and they're called Ephesians and Colossians and Philemon and Galatians. The words he wrote down became life-changing, significant, powerful words for the people who received them. And all he decided was, there's nothing else I can do, so I guess I'll just write down some words and encourage some people. And maybe it'll get to my mom, maybe it'll get to my brother, but it got to you, and it got to me. Maybe you're not familiar with some of the words that he wrote down, so I just want to refresh your memory on how powerful these words are. So husbands, he writes to you, and he challenges you with something. He says in one of his letters, husbands, love your wives and give of your lives. That how you love is determined by how Jesus loves you. In the scriptures, the church is described as the bride of Christ. The beautiful, magnificent, wonderful, nobody looks at the groom, everyone looks at the bride. Jesus sees us, his church, as his bride, his love, his masterpiece, his cherished gift. And Paul uses that analogy to describe how husbands love their wives. If she's not loving you well, husbands, the first question is not what's wrong with her. The first question is, what do I need to do? If things aren't going well in your relationship, husbands, the first question is, what do they need to do? The first question you need to ask is, what do I need to do? Husbands, love your wives and give of your lives because that's been modeled by Jesus. But wives, he doesn't leave you out in the cold. He speaks to you as well. And he says this to the wives. Wives, love your husbands and honor them with your actions. Essentially, he says the same thing. That how your husband loves you, you are to return that to him, but ultimately, he is not your model for how you are to love him. Jesus is your model for how you are to love him. And so the question in your relationship when it's not going well is not, he needs to, the question, or more the statement needs to be, I need to. That relationships, marriage relationships, is a game of mutual submission. That it's a race to the back of the line. Who is going to serve the other one more? This is what Paul wrote to us. And kids, he didn't leave you out either. He said this to children. He said, children, obey your parents and make them breakfast in bed once a week. Thou sayest the Lord. I just want to confess something to you this morning. I made that last part up. But it should be in there, right? So somebody get to work on that, okay? But he writes to all sorts of people, and it was life-changing. It was significant. Paul remained faithful when remaining faithful was difficult. When everything that he was invited to was to choose to be faithless. And Paul had no idea what hung in the balance of his decision to remain faithful. But now, here we are, centuries later, and we know what hung in the balance. You know what hung in the balance? We did. We hung in the balance. You and I, all of us. We hung in the balance. Because we are the people that received this truth. And it helped us understand Jesus, it helped us understand the church, and it helped us understand what God has called us to. But not only did it influence us, but it influenced the church. And I'm not just talking about active church. I'm talking about big C church, like the church. That's what hung in the balance of Paul making this decision. And he didn't know that. But what also hung in the balance was love. The ability for life change, true life change, hung in the balance. You have no idea what hangs in the balance in your decision to either be faithful or faithless. You have no idea what hangs in the balance because you can't see the future. All we can do is just talk about it, right? Paul had no idea that I would be here and that you would be here today. But he made a decision. The only decision that he could make in that moment was to write down some words, and he did. He had no idea what hung in the balance, and you have no idea what hangs in the balance of your decision, either to choose to be faithful or to choose to be faithless. What do? When you don't know what to do. And Paul helps us understand how to get there. More importantly, Paul helps us understand how to be faithful. And he makes a big, bold statement about what it means to live in faithfulness. And he writes it in a letter called Philippians. And he introduces us to this idea by talking about himself and helping us understand how he has processed this thing. Philippians chapter 4, verse 10 says that I rejoice greatly in the Lord that at last you have renewed your concern for me. Essentially what he's saying here is, I didn't have anybody coming to see me. I didn't have anybody bringing me food. I didn't have anybody even know where I was at in prison. And you found out, and you came, and you brought me food, and you visited me, and you cared for me. And so I'm glad that you have renewed your concern for me. I'm glad that you actually are thinking about me. I'm so grateful for you. And here's why he says it. The next verse, verse 11 says, I'm not saying this because I'm in need. I'm not telling you, hey, I really liked those muffins that you brought. Could you bring more? I'm not telling you that I'm in need. Why I'm saying this is because I've learned to be content in whatever the circumstances, and there's our word, content. The word that we're all searching for, the word that psychologists say we're becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable, content. We're at peace on the inside when the world is in chaos outside of us. He says, I've learned the secret I'm learning about being content, whatever the circumstances. That in moments where I just don't know what to do, I've learned what I can do. To which many of us would say, well, I want to learn that. When I don't know what to do, when I'm not sure how to do it, when I'm not aware of what decision I need to make, when all of my options are bad, I want to learn that. And in order to learn that, we need to know what he's not saying before we learn what he is saying. And so what he's not saying is, it is what it is. Is what it is. Can't do anything about it. Just got to move forward. Just hitch up your boots and let's go. It's not what he's saying. What he's not saying is, I'm really glad this is happening. I'm really thankful that this circumstance is in my life. I'm really glad that things are falling apart and that I'm in prison. It's not what he's saying. And what he's not saying is everything happens for a reason. That's not what he's saying. In fact, that's an awful thing to say. Because if you communicate that as a way of trying to help the situation, what you're communicating is that there is some really ugly things that are happening, but there's a reason, you may not know it. Maybe a better thing to say is that God doesn't waste our pain, that God doesn't waste our moments, and that God is with us in each of our painful and difficult moments, and he doesn't waste them. These are the things that he is not saying. So what is he saying? Verse 12 says this: I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. And I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. So I've had a lot, and I've had little. And I wasn't addicted to the lot, so that when I had little, I wished that I had a lot. I've had a whole lot of things in my life, and I have a whole lot of less things in my life. And the way that I've been able to manage those things is I've learned something that was outside of me, that I've now brought inside of me, something that was gifted to me that I didn't create myself, something that I've learned. And I've learned the secret, because it is a secret, because often we're not sure what to do in moments where we don't know what to do. And Paul says, in those moments, I got a secret that I've learned, that I've processed. And the reason why I highlighted this phrase is because that phrase is only used once in the Bible. That phrase doesn't show up anywhere else. And what he's saying there is that I've been initiated into something. Like I've been initiated into a fraternity. Here's a picture of an initiation at a fraternity. And I just want you to know, it was really difficult to find an appropriate picture to put up on stage. But as you can see, they're getting initiated into a situation, right? Years ago, when we lived here in Yucaipa and we were young, my brother and I were young, and we were a part of a church, my mom was asked to go and hang with this missionary couple, and there was a wife, and she had a few kids, and so she went to hang out with them, and she told us boys that we were going to hang out with their kids, and so it's Mom, and you say yes, and so we went. And when we got there, my mom told us that these kids are from Portugal, and all that they have experienced is Portugal. And not only did they live in Portugal, but their worldview was missionaries in Portugal. So immediately, Dave and I, because we're great Christians, we're like, you mean they're nerds? Is that what you're telling us? And Mom was like, no, they're not nerds. They just have this perspective of being in Portugal, and they have this perspective of being Christians in a missionary world in Portugal. And Dave and I were like, well, we're Americans, and we live in America, and so we're going to teach them how to live in America. No, we didn't say that. But we weren't very gracious. Let me just be honest with you. We showed up, 8 years old, 10 years old. There's a playground. We're swinging on the swings. We're off by ourselves. But we noticed the world's greatest slide. And we wanted to go on the world's greatest slide. And so we went up the stairs, and here were these missionary kids hanging out. And what we discovered when we got up to the top of the slide was that the oldest missionary kid was not letting anybody go down the slide until you quoted your favorite Bible verse. Nerds, right? And so I get up there and I look at Dave and I go, there's no way that I'm quoting my favorite Bible verse. Like, I'm going down this slide because this is America. And so we get up, and this girl steps in front and goes, I'm sorry, but you cannot go down until you tell me your favorite Bible verse. And so Dave went first, and I'm like, watch my big brother in action. This is going to be great. Dave's going to just like throw her aside and slide down. It's going to be fantastic. And he didn't. Dave spouts off a verse that I didn't even know was in the Bible. And she goes, oh, that's great. Thanks, Dave. And he goes, you're welcome. And she moves aside, and he gets up to the slide and gets ready to go down. And he knows that I am not being very gracious in this moment. And I walk up, and she says, before you can go down, what's your favorite verse? And all I hear from my big brother is, Michael. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. And you know what that meant? That meant you be nice. You be really nice, and you tell him that verse. And I remember I spouted off, a verse that nobody knows, John 3:16, right? I spouted off that verse. And she goes, that's great. You're welcome to go down the slide. And we went down the slide, and it was fantastic. And what I realized was that we got initiated into a slide moment. We got invited into the fraternity of knowing Bible verses. And then we got to experience the fun of that, the result of that. And it changed the whole day for us. We ended up becoming friends, learning about them, and all that it took was just being initiated into that moment. And this is what Paul is talking about when he says, I've learned what it means to be content. I've learned the secret. I'm getting initiated into this thing. The very next verse 12 says this, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want, I'm learning this secret. And then he starts to build towards it. And people are starting to lean in. I want to learn that. I want to know that. I want to experience that. Verse 13, he says, I can do all this. And it's that, oh man, I can't wait for the reveal. You're watching your favorite TV show and you're going to find out who the bad guy is. Or you're watching the movie and it's coming to the crescendo of what is supposed to take place. And you can't wait for the big reveal. And he says, I can do all this through. As a reminder that it wasn't something that he created. It wasn't something that he made up. It came from outside of him that was gifted to him. And he says, I can do all this through Christ, who gives me strength or strengthens me. Feels kind of churchy, right? Feels like, what do you mean? What does that look like? What Paul is doing here is not trying to be cute. This picture is cute, right? Get ready for the football game, the team's gonna run through, everybody's gonna go nuts. This is a great thing. This is not what Paul's talking about. He's not trying to be cute. What he's communicating to us, whether we love Jesus or not, whether we're interested in Jesus or not, is that God is available to you and to me, and he's so available that the life of Jesus, that the hope of Jesus, and the power of Jesus is available to you and to me. That the perfect, sinless life of Jesus is a gift to you and to me. The one that went to the cross to forgive us of our sins and resurrected from the grave. That life is offered to us. The hope of Jesus is offered to us and available to us. That we don't have to be lost anymore. We can be found. And that the power of Jesus is available to us. That we can actually overcome these moments. That we don't have to be defeated by these moments. That the life and the hope and the power of Jesus is available to you and to me. Yeah. So what do you do when you don't know what to do? What do you do when there's nothing you can do? Paul says, you do this. I can do all things through Christ, who gives me strength. Maybe a better way to say it is this way, that I can't, that he can, and that we will together. That I can't fix this. I can't fix you. I can't make you better. I can't solve this situation. It is what it is. Wait, I don't want to use those phrases. What do I do when I don't know what to do? I can't. But he can. And the way forward is together. You and I, with him. with Jesus, who sympathizes and empathizes with us. Sympathizes, I know how that feels. Empathizes, I've been there. That I can't, that he can, and that we will together. What do you do when you don't know what to do? I can't. He can. And we will together. Paul, because he wrote many letters, teases this out for us in a letter he calls Galatians to a people of Galatia. And he says in chapter 2, verse 20, he says, I have been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. Crucified is a big, giant, powerful word, meaning that I have surrendered my ability and my desire to fix this, to fix my sin, to fix my circumstances, to fix all of these things. I've crucified that. I've decided that I'm not going to run. I've decided I'm not going to abandon it. I've decided that I'm not going to give up. What I've decided is that I'm going to trust the one who didn't give up on me. And I'm going to choose to not live on my own, but I'm going to choose to live with the power of Jesus Christ in me by acknowledging who he is and what he has done for me already. The very next verse, verse 21, says that the life I live in the body, I live by faith. Faith is a word that we use often in the church world, but really what it means is I live with confidence in who God is. The life I live in the body, I live with confidence in the Son of God. That's Jesus. That I'm confident that even though this is in chaos, I will be at peace. Not that I'm okay with these things, but I understand that I might be able to take a step forward, even though I don't know what to do. That I might be able to breathe again. That I might be able to not be overcome by my circumstances, but to be overwhelmed by God's love. That I live by faith in the Son of God who loved me and gave himself for me. Maybe today, you and I, when we're wondering what we could do, maybe the truth of learning the secret to being content is us announcing, I'm deciding today that I'm going to make it. I'm deciding today I'm going to make it. I'm not going to wallow. I'm not going to sit. I'm not going to abandon. I'm not going to run. I'm going to make it. Because that's the gritty decision. That's the godly decision. That's the decision that says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Because sometimes you just need permission to breathe again. Sometimes you just need permission to walk forward again. Sometimes you need permission to find hope again. And sometimes you need to be reminded that God loves you just the way that you are. And he loves you how the circumstances are. And he wants you to stand next to him because I can't, and he can, and we will together. Yeah. Would you stand with me? If you're a leader that's going to be helping with baptisms, I want to ask you to move to my right and your left over here, and we're going to get you ready. There are those that have signed up for baptism this morning, and there are those that are probably thinking about it now. And before we move you, before we ask you to go, I just want to speak to you. Baptism is a sign. It's an announcement that this isn't something that you're just going to do on a Sunday, but this is a lifestyle change for you. Not that you're not going to mess up again, not that you're not going to sin again. It's you saying that I can't, and he can, and we will together. And today might be the day that you're going to make it. Today might be the day that you decide to make it. And so there are those that have planned on getting baptized, but I know that there are those that have walked into this room not planning at all. In fact, your hair probably looks really great today. You probably have on your best clothes today. And you're thinking to yourself, I can't do that because there's all sorts of reasons why. Like my family isn't here. Listen, we have the best photographers. We have the best videographers. It's live right now on Facebook and YouTube. You will be Facebook and YouTube famous because you decided, I'm gonna make it today. Maybe for you, you didn't bring clothes. And you're like, I got my best clothes on. We've got a change of clothes for you in the back. We go from itty bitty to really, really big and everywhere in between. The best decision you can make today is to decide that you're gonna make it today. Don't sit and wait and wallow. Decide to move. Be confident in Jesus that you can't and He can, and we will together. So I'm gonna count to 3. And when I get to 3, I want to invite those that have signed up, and I want to invite those that want to move today to get baptized to move. And for those of you who have been a part of Baptism Sundays, you know that we celebrate big in these moments, don't we? So when I get to 3, I want us to just cheer as loud as possible. Those watching online, cheer in your house. People will think you're nuts, and it'll be awesome. I want to invite you, 1, for those of you that are thinking about baptism, to get your courage up, to be reminded that you're going to make it today, that God is with you today, and that your circumstances don't identify you, that God identifies you, that God loves you, that God is your Lord and Savior. So get your courage up. 2, maybe you need to remove some rings, maybe you need to hand over wallets and purses, maybe you need to get ready. It's like the big game, right? Maybe you need to start moving, all right? So when I get to the final number, I want us to cheer. I want you to move out. So 1, 2, are you ready? 3, I want to see you move. Come on, I want to see you move. Awesome, 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 awesome. Awesome. There is room for anybody that wants to come. There is room for you. You don't have to wait for an invite from me or our team. If at any point during this next moment you want to move, we want to invite you to do that. We've seen 602 people get baptized in the last 3.5 years here. And we share those numbers with you because every number has a name. Every name has a story. Every story belongs to God. And they're going to be in the back talking with some great people, getting them ready. We're going to sing a little bit, and in just a minute, we're going to start dunking some people. Thanks for being here. Let's keep cheering. Honored you're here.
I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. You made a way when there was no way, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. Jesus, we're gonna see you move. You're gonna move in our lives.
Listen,
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall.
sing it out.
But you have left. You're waiting for change.
Waiting for change to come.
Knowing the battle's won. Do you believe it? Sing. For you have never failed me yet. Oh. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. Faithfulness.
promise, come on. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. It's your faithfulness.
Still in your hands. This is my confidence.
You've never failed me yet. You've never failed us, Jesus. I know the night won't last. Your word shall come to pass. My heart will sing your praise again. Oh, let's declare his name this morning. You sing it, Jesus. Jesus, you're still enough. Make this your prayer. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness. You keep moving in our lives, Lord. And I'm still in your hands. And this is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. And great is your faithfulness, Jesus. It's your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. And this is my confidence that you've never stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You never fail me. You've never failed me, Lord. You've never failed us. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe that I'll see you do it again. I've seen you move. You move the mountains, and I believe but I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way. I believe I'll see you do it again. Oh Lord, we know where can I see you move in this place? You're gonna move in our lives.
Church, we just experienced 10 people make a decision today that they're going to make it. Thanks for staying. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to continue to sing a little bit. We're going to have a next baptism service. If you want to stay for 10:45, we have more that are going to choose to get baptized. What an incredible, incredible day. God bless you guys. Go eat some wings and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God bless you.